think we're there. The wheels are turning. The strange AI has granted us passage into the live stream realm. The internet AI, they approve of our message. Do they? Who really knows? I don't know. Is the internet an AI? Does it matter? Welcome, everybody. Thanks for rolling in. We got a few people in the house. Good to see your faces. Hopefully, we are live. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. What's up, Jeremy Burr? We are burning the stick. You are absolutely correct. I always like to start out with just a little bit of Palo Santo. I don't know why that's a thing. It's just a thing that we do in live streams. It's like a little bit of an opening ritual. So I'll be waving this little burning thing around in the background there. Come on in, everybody. Good to see your faces. We have an alternative being in the house. Good to see you, alternative being. I love the screen name. I mean that very sincerely. I have an affinity for original screen names. I love it. So yeah, thanks for being here. Good to see you guys. What are we doing today? Why are we here in this strange realm? What's actually going on? Does anyone really know? If there's one thing I've learned at this stage, we're all kind of figuring it out together. We're all sort of figuring out this strange realm together. And so, yeah, thank you for being here, you guys. Welcome back to this strange moment in time. We're all going to gather together for some seemingly nonsensical yet completely relevant within the timeline that we are all on information. And so it's good to see you guys. Come on in. If you're on Facebook, and actually here, let's do a thing in the beginning, guys. I'm going to click off the screen because Facebook loves me so much. Facebook loves us so much that they put every single post that I create on only me. It's just a thing. I don't know why they do it, but every single post I make on Facebook gets changed to only me. Whenever I do a live stream, they just instantly sort of silence it. So I always click over there and turn it on. So hello on Facebook. If you're out there, who knows? I don't know if the Facebook AI approves of what we do, but they never shut us down. So I've learned we have a really strong invisibility spell. But anyway, here we are. The year's 2021. I believe we are in mid-August of one of the most formative years of our journey on Earth. Really the stage for a lot of us in which a whole new identity, and I know we've had many identities throughout this life cycle. We've had many sort of versions of us that have turned up and have been born, and also have, yes, they have also been, you know, sort of killed. I say that lovingly. We've gone through a lot of ego deaths. And here we are in August of 2021, and the world is just going through the greatest change that we all agreed to be a part of during this life, the great dimensional shift. So thank you for being a part of that. Thank you for joining me on this strange timeline wherever you are in the world. And we've done this before, but if you don't mind, everybody, let me know where you're from. What part of this world are you in? What planet are you on right now? Yeah, let us know where you're from. I don't know how long we're gonna linger here today, you guys. Every single time I do these live streams, it's like I have a whole list of stuff that I'm gonna talk about, and then I get in here and I'm like, whoa, what was it we were gonna do? And so today we're talking about some very important things. I will start out with what's coming up this weekend. Some of you guys are already familiar with our Patreon group. And some of you guys have been with me since before the Patreon group. And so thank you if you're one of those people. But over the last year, we are just about at the 1-year anniversary of our Patreon group. It's called the Blue Flame Collective. And it's essentially kind of a soft training program for those of us that are opening up just waves or just frequencies, channels within the body of intuitive ability. And so what we've been doing in this group over the past year, I think this is our 11th month, and we continue to grow. What we do each month is take people through a process of some sort of energetic information, whether that be a healing, whether that be education. And just a couple months ago, we did a 2-month series of really extreme Qigong activation, levels of the physical body that are much different than some of the things that are being offered in a number of other, multi-dimensional training or development groups. And so over the past year, it has gone through a number of interesting changes, a number of interesting forms. And so here we are in summer of 2021, and we're starting a bit of a new chapter, a bit of a new stage. One of the things I really want to do is start bringing in new people within our multi-dimensional community that are doing real work, that are doing things that I perceive that, you know, or within the vibration of the timeline that a lot of us are on. We're living in somewhat of a Renaissance era here on Earth of spiritual teachers, spiritual information. What many of us call just the explosion of our internal and externalized understandings of the etheric realms. We're starting to understand and get in touch with non-physical energy on just a whole other level. And I am not the only one doing it. There's a million other people. We had Eric Rains on a couple weeks ago in our group. We had Eric Rains on talking about his journey. And one of the things we're doing with our Patreon group is we are branching out and we're bringing in new people within the community. And this Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific, I am honestly very genuinely excited because I love this guy. I literally watch him every day. This is no joke, you guys. And that is Ivan Teller. If you guys aren't familiar with Ivan Teller, just search him out on YouTube. You can also look us up on Patreon. We have a post on there about him, or you could just you can find him on YouTube instantly. You can also go to ivanteller.com and check out his work. And for those of you guys who kind of know me, you'll know that I am not a pro channeling person. I am not one of those people who, you know, hangs my understanding of reality on what the 12th dimensional Arcturian Council has to say. You know, I'm not basing my life off of, you know, anyone's sort of prescribed or internalized worldview as being dictated through some form of spiritual energy. I have just never been on board with that. I've kind of just, you know, followed my own stuff. And I think at times it's kind of left me at odds with people in our community because I would perceive people that are doing some form of an energetic performance. They were doing this performance, and I was like looking at their energy and looking at their bodies, and I see this constantly. And I realize that many people, when they go into what we call a channeling state right now, especially the really big sort of famous channelers that connect with a very crystallized form of consciousness, what I started to notice was that it was like a signal would go out of their body and it would just circle around and come right back in. I saw this with a lot of people. I saw this with secret space program people. I saw this with speakers. We also see it with a lot of people in media and politics. But what I noticed was that while they are working or speaking or in tune with some form of, you know, higher dimensional consciousness, in most cases, they were really just processing and kind of echoing what was going on within the self. Over the few years that I've been watching people, I've also seen other people go into entirely different states of attunement. One of the things I loved about Ivan Teller is the very first time I watched his channelings, I could see exactly what was going on. I could see and feel the exact, or what I perceive. That's always a dangerous term. Whenever we're working with non-physical energy and someone's like, I could tell you exactly what's going on. It's always a little bit of a dangerous one. I've learned that the hard way. But I perceived, upon watching his channelings, a very different form of interaction. What I noticed was that immediately upon looking at this individual, he would actually have a very distinct ability to open the crown, to sort of activate what looked like kind of like a crystalline receiver or a switchboard effect that the human body has. And what I noticed was that the messages were different. The connection was different. The tone was different. It was a different form of multidimensional communication or channeling. And to be honest with you, I believe that he is one of the absolutely most authentic channelers that I have encountered in this realm. And so I was really honored when he said, yes, I'll totally come on here. I will totally come to your Patreon group. And so this Saturday, we're going to be hanging out with Ivan. If you guys know me and know I ask a lot of weird questions, so we're going to ask him a bunch of weird questions. And really, like, the cool thing about the Patreon group is that it's not so much like a performance or a show where we're going to bring people in and wow you. That's really not what it's all about. If you guys know me, you know I just abhor the spiritual performance archetype. It is just something that I am not into. But what I am into is disseminating and discussing and getting into the real gruesome details of what actually happens within the body as we learn these skills. What actually happens with our consciousness? How does it actually feel? How do we know when we are in contact with something other than ourselves? And what can we do to build it up, to make it stronger, to understand when that's you or when it's another being? And so we're going to be having a discussion about that in our Patreon group. And so you guys can check it out if you're interested. I am going to put the link in the description here. Sometimes it takes a while for me to get it. So put some questions in the chat. I promise I'm going to check them out right now. It always takes me a minute to kind of grab links. But I don't know what it is. As soon as I click off the screen, stuff gets weird. But yeah. So we're going to grab that. We're going to put it in here. Where is it? Okay, here we go. We actually got it. And so let me know if this link works. If you're on Facebook, and who knows if anyone's on Facebook, I don't know if my chat extends over to Facebook. I know StreamYard and Facebook don't seem to get along too well. But yeah, there we go. So that's our Patreon channel. For anyone that wants to check it out, you can. I have to be 100% real, you guys. I am not a big advocate of Patreon. I'm not a big advocate of the paywall for people's content. It doesn't really feel good to me, but it's one of the necessary evils for those of us that want to speak about, uncensored topics, things that we can't speak of publicly on YouTube. And so I want to let people know you do not have to, stick with our group. If you want to come to this event this Saturday, you can pay $10, come in and hang out with us, ask questions, or you could just hang out for free and you can watch the version that we're going to post afterward on YouTube, because I try to make this stuff free for everyone. I do not enjoy the paywall process, but I think we're at the stage in which, for those of us that want to get into real content and really talk about the stuff that clearly we know what the buzzwords are with the AI right now, and we can't even use them in here. And so we're going to edit out some of that stuff and we're going to post it probably a day after we have that talk. But join us if you're on the same timeline. Join us this Saturday, and also check out Ivan's channel. Check out Ivan's channel. I should probably put it in the chat, but I notice every time I click off this screen, there's a weird delay. When I come back in, my face is like everything freezes. So who knows if that's an internet thing or not. But anyway, I see your comments. Looking forward to seeing a few of you guys in the Blue Flame Collective this weekend. And so good to see everybody. Hello, Miss Liz White Swan, Brooklyn Way. Good to see you. We have Cassandra. Hello. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you, Tesseract. When I told some of the channelers to be careful, they got super offended. I could see why. Channelings, it's a delicate process. It's a very strange thing. Although people, I think everyone throughout this awakening process, as you tune into non-physical energy, you will go through a stage in which certain doors will open within the body that makes it really easy for you to convey and experience and actually speak with spirits. It's very, very common. Now, most of the people on this live stream have heard me talk about this before, but just in case you're wondering, what's an area of your energetic anatomy or your body that you can work with to just greater facilitate the opening or just the connection with, speaking with spirit, or what some people call channeling. Other people will translate this through the body as light language. That's also a very legitimate frequency that's broadcasted by the body. But for anyone that wants to just, work with this on a greater level, you can look up the chakras in the back of the head, of which there are several. A lot of people talk about energetic anatomy right now. We're all figuring it out together. There's one thing we do know on a very large level right now. It's pretty reliable. And there are chakras within the head that actually facilitate the communication. One of those, some of you guys will already know this. I've talked about it so many times. It's your Bendu Chakra. Some people would describe the Bendu Chakra as being directly opposite your third eye. There's also another opening right around there that some people would call a moon portal. There's one right underneath. Some people call it, the mouth of God or the gateway to heaven. There's a number of really fun and fanciful, spiritualized terms for what is essentially a very large gateway, or what is really one of the multidimensional portal elements that opens up within the human body. And so you guys can start working also, get this, also with your navel chakra. One of the most important gateways in the body for really opening the third eye is the belly button, the navel chakra. It's one of the most forgotten elements of our energetic anatomy. And just like your solar plexus and your throat chakra, there's kind of like a tube. We could say a linkage that will connect certain chakras together. We could call them a back door. We could call them a back door to chakras. And so anyway, you guys can check those out, do a little bit more reading on it. It's hard to find good research, and it's really hard to find, actionable intel on energetic anatomy and, how to actually use it and like what's really going on and the methods in which we clear it and how to heal it and all that, which is why we started the School of Multidimensional Intuition. Which for those of you guys that don't know by now, that is the educational project that I guess myself, our guide team, whoever it was that sort of advises Matthew in the etheric planes, we started creating this program. I think it was early 2019. It might have been in 2018, but here we are a few years later, and we are just now starting, as of October 1st, the next wave of a really incredible program. It's almost hard to talk about it because there's so many things that I want to say, but what we have done is over the last 6 months, we've taken our pilot group of individuals. Some of you guys have heard me talk about them in other lives and in other things. And what we did is we went through a very particular process. We're still going through it. It's almost done. But what we learned is that upon hyper concentrating elements of our energetic anatomy, our organs and other pieces of ourself, both the emotional and also the physical body, over a period of time, repeatedly, what we find is that certain traits, certain abilities, certain elements of you, what we might even call, yes, your psychic or intuitive abilities, which are native to every living person on this planet, what we find is that upon opening up or working with specific elements of energetic anatomy, things change, abilities show up, another version of you starts to rise up. And what we're finding is that there's a tremendous amount of people here on the earth plane right now who agreed to go through an organic transition into a new stage of identity. And so we were led to create this program. And over the last 6 months, we have been kind of working our way through this journey of things like attunement to elemental Reiki, learning how to work within the theta state of brainwave consciousness, learning how to move into what we call an etheric control room, which is essentially an internal place within our energy body that we can experiment with, meet, encounter, converse with certain types of beings. We've also gone through a very, very dedicated process of learning how to condition the energy body through the process of scalar toning. Some of you guys have been in these lives with me before, and you've heard me kind of rant on and on about it and make these strange sounds. And what we've learned and what I was shown through firsthand experience was that we have the ability to harmonize cells, to harmonize layers of the non-physical body, to actually treat and assist the physical body with certain ailments and maladies by creating a physical or auditory vibration in the body. And so a few of you guys out there on this live stream, I see a few people here, have done private sessions with me. Some of you guys have even done private sessions with the people in our training program now. And the really cool thing about that is out of the, I think it was 15 individuals in total, we took 3 of them through a 3-month journey, and the rest of our 12 have been with us for the 6-month journey. I would say 5 out of them are launching their own websites. 2 of them are absolutely 100% equipped and ready. They're launching into a professional channel or just a professional avenue in this, multidimensional realm. And everybody's going through a state of transformation. Everybody's stepping into a new version of themselves. And it happens very subtly. People start out small. I have noticed over the past few months of working with these individuals how their faces have changed, how their voices have changed, how their processes, how their confidence have changed. People in, there have been a few people in our program that, they're showing their face on camera. And for some of us, that's a big deal when we, us as empaths, as incredibly intuitive beings, most of us have never been encouraged. Most of those abilities have never been fostered. There is no structure within our society to sort of, help those individuals grow. And so what we find is that a lot of us on the earth plane have incredible abilities, but we've been horribly minimized. We've been abused. We've been disregarded. We never got chosen. We were never acknowledged. And so what I've noticed is that working with these individuals and myself, because I have to say, everyone's heard me say this in our program, but it's also been a training program for me and, learning how to conduct and work with a group to sort of, move energy on a much larger level. I've gone through a lot of my own healing processes over the last 6 months. And what we have found is that people are changing. And some of us are staying. Some of them are absolutely staying on for the next chapter of the journey. And that's really the heart of what we're talking about here today. What I've been called to do over the next couple of weeks is continually send this message out to the people in our soul group. And thank you for your comments. Thank you very sincerely. We're getting to comments and questions in a moment. But we have been called to very, very sincerely let people know that you are not a helpless being. You are not a victim of the control structure going on in the world right now. You are not without power. You are not without hope. You do not have to bend over to the viral madness and the insanity that is overtaking our society. There is no requirement to give your consent to this timeline, but for a lot of us, it is incredibly difficult. We don't know how to start. We don't know how to strengthen the self. We don't know, who to turn to or how to do this or what, a lot of us, like myself included, everyone's heard me say this by now, you guys. In the beginning, when I wanted to do energy work, people were like, just make this shield, put a column of light. That's what you do. You put this aquamarine column, just something like that. And I was like, all right, cool. How? Do I just imagine it? Do I just put my hand up there? What do I do? You know what I mean? And so for me, what I found was that we all have our own way. We all have our own specialty. We all have our own ability. And what we're really moving into in this next stage is a more expanded method of teaching people how to connect with the self. And I see a couple of you guys here. Thank you for being here. How does this program work, though? What do we actually do? Well, first off, I want to say there's not like some static curriculum. There's not step 1, do this, step 2, breathe here, step 3, focus on your third eye. It's nothing like that. What we find is that everyone finds their own way. There are certain doorways that we open within the body. There are certain elements of our emotional self that we'll need to work with or open up or heal or acknowledge. There's even things that we'll have to do within the physical world. Certain moves, behaviors, things that will change. Upon doing so, and especially when we work with it in a consistent way, people start to develop their own thing. There's really no one tried and true method for helping you, open up your intuitive ability. But I also have to say, which is sometimes where it gets weird, and some people, will be like, what? It's not for everyone. I have to say, I mean, we just have to be real. It's not a process that is suited for every person on the earth plane right now. Some people have already come to the understanding that they are willing to put everything on the line to truly devote themselves to a new practice, to truly begin sort of looking at their worldview and the sort of consciousness gateways that we're caught up in right now, and begin to actively, deconstruct it, to deprogram the inner child, to work with the self on a different way. And I think we were blessed because our initial group of individuals has been one of the most powerful and charismatic and just real and vulnerable groups that I've ever worked with. And so if you're one of those people out there, if you've been living your life going, I know there's something different about me. I know that I can do blank, insert something there, you know what I mean? But I don't know how. I don't know where to begin. I know that I have a mission. In fact, maybe you've already done stuff like Reiki. Maybe you picked up a couple little things. Maybe you messed with tarot a little bit. The cool thing about stage 2 is that we're sort of kind of altering our program to make it more palatable and just more accessible for people. What we're doing is basically every other week you do a private session with myself or my wife and Nora. That's just part of the journey for 6 months. But in the other 2 weeks, which is why this is a lot for some people, and we meet entirely online. We do not have a physical meeting place, although we will in the coming years. Lord help us manifest that. So what we do is we meet up online every 2 weeks. You meet with myself or my wife and Nora. We work on energy, whatever we need to do. I've noticed that a lot of our work is, in what we would call multidimensional therapeutic modality. And so, yeah, we do some therapy as well. But what we're essentially doing is meeting every 2 weeks. We meet privately, and then the next week after that, 2 weeks later, we would meet for a class. And so what are these classes? What are you talking about? Well, over the past 3 years, I've actually put together a number of classes. A few of them we have done with our soul group here, and a few of them we're kind of holding off for later in the future. But we have multi-week sort of chakra class. We have a meridian journey, which we've only done once, and we're going to be starting that again. And then we also have probably the funnest one. For some reason, everyone asked for this, and that's multidimensional tarot. And so every 2 weeks, we're doing a class. It's sort of gauged by who shows up and what everyone wants to work on. And then every month, we do a group meeting with our whole community. This time around, we're going to have a few more people. We're bringing it up to 20. So we're having a little bit of a larger group. And we just meet every month right now and talk about what's going on, talk about the processes, talk about what's happening in our lives. Now, right now with group 1, we're doing it on a 2-week journey. Every 2 weeks, the group meets. And I think one of the cool things is that we found out about that is that after a period of time, people do really well. And you don't always need a 2-week journey. And so what we're doing is creating a series of classes, individual meetings, and then also group work that we're going to be getting into. And so Yeah, check it out if you can. Now, I've been getting a lot of emails from people about this, and I want to say that there is actually an interview process that we go through. A lot of people have said, I tried to join this program and it said it was closed. It's not closed, but it does say request booking. And so it's because we do a little bit of a pre-interview just to make sure that this is right for our needs or right for what you guys need. And then we begin accordingly. And so that program begins officially on October 1st. First week of October, we are beginning this new phase. And so I think we have 8 so far. We've got 8 of our 20 individuals. And so I am going to put the link in the chat. You guys know I'm going to do it. Put it in the chat. Okay. Boom. So here we go. I'm going to drop this in here. Let everybody work. Unfortunately, on Facebook, sorry if it doesn't show up, you guys. Facebook, I love you, but they have me minimized. The AI does not approve. But I think everybody on YouTube will see that. But it's rememberyourmission.com. And so you can request an interview to join the 6-month program. There's also another one. It's a little bit of a more individualized, it's a little bit of a softer journey. It does not involve extensive group meetings. You do not have to go to any classes. And that's a year-long process that we have. It's kind of an individual training program, but we also call it a healing program. It's kind of our second track. And the second track is for people that want to show up monthly. They might not want to work with a group. They want to know that there's people that are there to assist or support them on a monthly basis with a pre-scheduled meeting. What we do is meet for an hour and a half every month. We could do clearing, we do training, we do readings, whatever it is that we need. But I think we have been called on just a much greater level to make this stuff more accessible. And so check it out if you can, if you guys are interested. I will slow down the infomercial stage of this live stream now. I always get a little bit of stuff from people. They're like, you're like an infomercial. You keep talking about the stuff you're doing, which honestly, I think is a really, really good thing. I think it's it's just kind of what we are called to do right now. And so I will add the funnest part of the whole thing, because I always leave stuff out at the end. And I want to thank Gina DeSantis down there in the chat, because you helped me remember the biggest, it's like the coolest part of this whole thing that I always forget about. And a lot of people already know, so they're going to be like, what? We know, dude. But that is Rife Therapy. A lot of you guys have already heard of Rife Therapy. It is an incredible, incredible energetic modality right now. It's been available on the earth plane for decades. It has the ability to literally change, alter, strengthen, even use that really, really delicate keyword, heal. It has the ability to actually heal elements of your physical and non-physical anatomy. I know it's such a dangerous word, right? But that is the best part about this whole program. And for some people, that's the weird one, because, basically what you do is you will send us a piece of your DNA. For most people, it's going to be a fingernail or a toenail. In fact, that's the most most durable. That's the most durable form of your DNA right now. And so what we do is we put it in our Rife transmitter along with the group, and we take everybody through what's essentially a 2-week detox in the first month. That's kind of the interesting part, because some people get really big symptoms. Some people get, what they call the Herxheimer effect, which is very interesting. I have got it every single time that I've done a Rife detox. My eyes swell up. I get, my stomach kind of swells up. It's a really interesting thing. It starts to kill off all sorts of parasites within the body. And what we also do with it is we use it over the remaining 6 months to harmonize energy centers. We work with pineal activation, pineal detox, which for some people is huge. But I also have to be, really brutally real about the Rife technology. What we learned over this first 6-month journey is that for some people, they will feel it instantly. The moment you turn it on, they feel it. They will notice a result. Other people, it's like you're sort of guessing. You will get a little bit of it. Certain frequencies work really well. One of the reasons why I love the form of Rife technology that we're using, which is called Spooky 2. I've talked about it in other live streams. You guys can look it up on your own. Technically, I have an affiliate link for them, so technically you could buy it through us, but I am so resistant and awkward about, schlepping products for other people that I might never post it. But if people are interested and you want to look more into spooky Rife technology, let me know. I will absolutely post the affiliate link if you're interested in purchasing from them. But only do so if it feels right, because for some people, they will receive this therapy. It's very, very debatable as to it has an effect. There's one thing we do know beyond a shadow of a doubt. Once you're in the room, when you actually plug into the contact version of Rife, the body goes through a much, much deeper process, which is why I'm going to start saying this in every live stream, you guys. We are actively seeking the manifestation of a physical facility here in the US, in a large building or something just big enough to where we can do treatment rooms. We can bring people in and actually show them the physical protocols of what we're doing. Now, for those of you guys that already know, yes, it works very, very well non-physically. It works very, very well online. In fact, I would say that is the standard of connection for energy work right now. It's part of just what's going on the fourth density plane. But at any rate, please check it out. I think the link's in the chat there. And let us know. One of the programs you guys can join at any time. That's our yearly track. It does not require an interview, but if you want to join the group processes, if you want to take part in the full thing, we just have a brief chat before we start. And so let me know if you guys have any other questions about this training thing. I know I've been ranting a long time about it. Let me check out your questions. Good to see you guys. Tracy Rodriguez, good to see you. How's it going? Kathleen Haley, absolutely. Thanks, Kathleen. You just reminded me of something else really, really cool. I know we're jumping around on all kinds of wild stuff today, you guys, but I need you guys to do me a favor. This is very, very sincere. If you're on your desktop, I'd like you to open up another window. Like if you're on your laptop or something, open up another window and go to campdisclosure.com. If you're on your phone, just kind of, note it. You're going to go to campdisclosure.com later after this live stream or when you can. We're doing a really, really cool event. It's literally next week in Helen, Georgia. And there are still in-person tickets available. From what I understand, you can still get in-person tickets for this event. You can also purchase a live stream ticket for this event. I think there's over 20 speakers. If you guys remember, Eric Rains was on here with me a couple weeks ago. He'll be there. Geraldina Roscoe will be there. She has really cool information and processes just around ET hybrids and the Hybrid Mother program, a number of things. We have Barry Littleton, really, really cool experiencer. I honestly really, really enjoy that guy. He has such a genuine frequency, such a genuine energy. And a bunch of other people who I always forget and I feel horribly awkward about because I'm really bad with people's names. But open up that window, check out campdisclosure.com. And if you feel guided, please buy a live stream ticket. I'm going to be doing a talk there, I believe, on Friday. At least I think, I think it's next Friday. I'm going to be doing a talk there Friday afternoon. And I think we're also doing a couple other things. We got some Qigong stuff that I'm going to be doing with the group there and possibly a group healing. I'm pretty sure there is. You guys can check out the whole schedule and everything at campdisclosure.com. I do not know if everything is available for the live stream. I know the main stage speakers are. I think I'm a main stage speaker, but honestly, I don't know at this point. If you've seen my track record at other events, there's a chance they might not even remember that I'm there, because that is a thing that has totally happened to me, you guys. I love Conscious Life Expo, but it's like they literally didn't even put me on the list. It has happened at other events as well. Or I got shoved in a closet in the back. They're like, here you go, you could use that room. It's behind the dumpster. And so anyway, that's definitely not happened at Camp Disclosure, but yeah, we're gonna have a really good time. I'm really honored to be a part of this event, and so check it out, you guys. campdisclosure.com. Hello, Keith Rainey, good to see you. Gina DeSantis, do you do a layaway plan for your school? You can make payments. You can totally make payments. A lot of people don't want to talk about prices and money online because there's like a cringe factor. Everybody gets weird, you know what I mean? If you say I'm doing a thing and it costs this much, people get really weird and awkward, and they're like, what? How could you charge money for a spiritual thing? Wherever your viewpoints are on that, yes, there is. We totally take payments, and I will freely tell everyone how much it is. It's $2,900. That's how much it costs to work for this, to work with the group for this 6-month period. You do pay a deposit when you come in, and we make the payments so that you can afford them. You can pay it off over a 1-year period if you like. For some people, that makes it way easier. But, yes, there is a price tag, but for for those of you guys that know me, and I mean this very sincerely, for those of you guys that actually know me and have done work with me, you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that we will work with you. We will totally work with you. There's always a way. It does not mean that everyone gets in, but honestly, for those that have a real desire, there's a way for you to access this information. And so reach out if you have questions, reach out. Please let me know. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. For those of you guys that saw that as well, thank you, Gina DeSantis. Yes, we were on Karen Swain's webcast. I think it was last week as well. That's posted on our timeline here on YouTube. If anyone wants to check that out as well. We've been getting a lot of just so many clients and people interested in what we do from Australia. It's a very, very interesting thing. I'm deeply honored. So if you're one of the Australians out there, thank you for finding me. We get tons of people from Australia right now. I would say that's the second most country that is booking our work right now, US and Australia. So thanks everybody. Also New Zealand as well. We're getting some New Zealanders. It's a deep honor. I never thought that anyone on the other side of the world would even find out about what we are doing. But anyway, thanks you guys. Infomercial is over. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Thank you, Helen. She says all the registrations are closed. They are not closed. It says request booking. If you go to the event page, you will also have to request booking for that. Or you can just go to the booking page and you can request booking. I will need to clean that up. The like the buttons on the website might be a little awkward right now. But if you go to our booking page, it's definitely listed in the links. And so I hear somebody mentioning a heavy metal detox protocol. Let me know if you guys have any questions about that. That is one of the biggest things that you can do right now to help your third eye really open. For those of you guys that really want to work on opening up the third eye, heavy metal toxicity in my direct experience and with the clients that we work with, that's one of the biggest barriers toward perceiving or toward the beginning of the perception of a lot of non-physical, like visual interfacing. Heavy metal toxicity has so much to do with it, especially aluminum, and it's everywhere. Thank you. Let me know if you guys have any more questions about this stuff. We're going on a fun and angular rant here today. Yeah, and so here, I'm just gonna comment on a couple little things before we go into, and yes, I will get to your question in a moment. Just items for your discernment, items for your consideration. One of the really cool things that I've been seeing over the past week here is a lot of just really wild news stories about secret space program meetings and stuff going on Jupiter. And, we've even heard a story being passed around that, what was it? Jeff Bezos, right? Jeff Bezos. Who's the other one? Elon Musk, right? And Richard Branson. What did they do? Well, apparently they went to a big old SSP Galactic Council meeting out there on Jupiter. So that's been a report that's floating around, a really cool, a very, very interesting, fun timeline diversion idea that has been floating around. I know some people will be like, Matthew, why are you commenting on this? But honestly, I'm totally going to say it, you guys. Man, because I know these guys are about to go on a show, you know what I mean? And they're about to talk about this. And I know this is going to be an item of discussion for some of you guys, but the idea that Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk all took a ship out to a meeting point on Jupiter to meet with some SSP council about the fate of Earth and understanding what's going on. In my opinion, you guys, that's literal bullshit. That did not happen. Nothing about that frequency that is being disseminated right now, especially by the people that are disseminating it. And I'm not here to say they're right or wrong, good or bad, but I think it's a really, really good example of one of those sort of discernment and consciousness gateways that we have to work through in our community. By my view, and I've talked to several other people about this now, nothing about that timeline checks out. Nothing about that claim checks out. It felt very much like people hypothesizing and just kind of parroting information that got passed on from other people who were also hypothesizing. And so I just want to say it, like that little video that's going around right now, I do not believe it one bit. And I just call on everyone else to really look at some of the bizarreness and the ways in which the sort of disclosure community and some of the people that you used to rely on a few years ago to tell you what what they thought was really going on with ETs and aliens and SSP stuff, we really need to start taking a hard look at how their content and how the way they present their information has changed. And maybe it hasn't changed. Maybe we've changed. Maybe I've changed. So, because a lot of times you'll start calling out this fakeness that you will see, and people say, oh, well, that's totally negative. Why are you tearing this down? Why are you going against something? Why are you sowing the seeds of dissent, as they say? And honestly, I just look at it exactly as it was. I watched the entire video. I listened to the whole thing. And honestly, every single thing about it felt like, somebody making up a story in their mind or passing on something that had been a story in someone else's mind. And so, that does not say that report was fake. It does not say that it was untrue. The concept or the idea behind the sort of stepping up and the greater level of connections and meanings and the sort of the information that's coming from those higher dimensional beings that have a very vested interest in the control structure on Earth. The information is being disseminated to a number of people on this planet, and it's past the point of the sort of chosen few or the sort of sacred, beings that, are the sort of world leaders that are in contact with us. That's one of the great veils of secrecy and sort of disinfo that's being placed upon us right now, that, it's these rich guys, it's these elitists, and yes, there's a very, very negative control structure, but the reality is there are millions of people on the Earth plane right now that are in constant, regular contact with groups of extraterrestrial consciousness that are guiding and letting us know and informing us as to what's really going on. There have been times in which I have been privy to some of those, informations and some of those briefings. I am not currently. That is not something that I am currently a part of. Around December, the last quarter of 2020, there was a lot of information that was being given to me, a lot of things that were being passed through. That were very relevant. And what I was shown at that time was that there was a very distinct changing of the guard happening with respect to the groups and the individuals and the people that were slated to be a part of this next movement. In fact, many of the ones who were posing as those elitist control figures, especially within the disclosure community, are doing so with full knowledge that they are no longer linked in with whatever it is that they're talking about. And so, to kind of sum it up before I go down a weird, vague, SSP wormhole that a lot of people will probably misinterpret, that report about Jeff Bezos and all those guys flying out to some secret meeting on Jupiter, that's a really good piece of information for you to sink your discernment teeth into and go, what does this really feel like? What does this really look like? What does this really smell like? How does this compare to other things we have heard? How does this stack up against what I know about me? How does this stack up against what I have known to be the frequency of truth? Even if you only know a little bit of it, even if you're only sort of figuring it out. I think it represents a really cool discernment exercise for people to start looking at what's real and what's not real. And I want to say this really, really specifically, because I know I'm going on a fun rant here, you guys. I am 100% on board with the idea of a secret space program being a reality in our physical world. We know it's real now. Now, the level to which it shows up, the level to which people are involved, the sort of understandings and the previous identities and the particulars about that is something that we are unpacking over a multi-year period. And so take it all with a grain of salt, and take everything I say with a grain of salt as well. And with that, I will move on to the next semi-inflammatory piece of information. And I'll just say it as well. I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. One of the things that really, it's like I see this floating around right now on Facebook and on Telegram. And what people are saying that scene in Afghanistan, with the plane, everyone knows the video. Everybody knows the video that I'm talking about, you guys. There's a really fun post going around where this is actually an inflated plane. This is an inflated plane. It's not even real. They faked the whole thing with an inflated plane. And so if you have not found that post on Facebook or on social media, and if you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, perfect. Let it be a humorous distraction in the energy of the moment. But for everyone else, please take a look at that. If you see it floating by on your timelines or your thing, give yourself a moment and sort of look at it. It doesn't mean you have to believe it, because I promise you it's fake. It is literally fake. It is not an inflated plane. Now, that's not to say that we know whether that plane was leaving or coming or landing or taking off. That's not what it's about. But that's another example of one of the bizarre disinfo, discernment, and consciousness gateways that are being placed up for everyone to either chew on and swallow or spit out within our community right now. It's a really, really fascinating stage for discernment. One of the people who I love, who has been calling this out with regularity lately, is Jordan Sather. And I have always had a respect for Jordan's work. He gets inflammatory at times, but he's really, really good at calling out the bullshit. And so, yeah, if you haven't seen that one, Miss Liz, you'll see it. It'll float by on somebody's page, and you'll see a whole chain of people going, I knew it. Look at it. The picture's blurry, therefore it's inflated. I mean, it's just a really, really fun moment to have. And that's not to say that I'm right, because who knows? If there's one thing we do know about this timeline and this physical world that we are in right now in this moment, is that we are living in a time on Earth in which there are many realities coinciding. In fact, we could say that each individual being, each individual ensouled being, those with souls, and I always love saying that, because people are like, you mean some people don't have souls? No, some people don't. It's one of the facts of life on the Earth plane. But those who are ensouled will come to a very, you will just begin to see things differently. And anyway, I will sort of end that. I will end that interesting rant there before we go too far. Yes. You guys got it. You know who we're talking about. It's all good though, because honestly, I love both of those people. They put out really, really, really good stuff. And so who knows? I'm just one, you know what I mean? I'm just one person over here doing my thing. But we're coming to the stage in which I think people really need to call it as we see it. There's so much like, just really, really interesting and bizarre and really, really fun discernment bubbles that we're all going to be going through over the coming year. One of the really, really fun ones that's happening is going to be the manufactured military thing that's coming up once again in the coming months. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, but we will move off of that. Let me check out your comments. Thanks, you guys. Hey, Conrad the Third. You can find Jordan Sather probably on a number of channels. I don't even know if he's on YouTube anymore. I should have probably had that link ready. I check him out on Telegram. That's where I usually check out Jordan. But anyway, lots of opinions about everybody. And so Tesseract said, is it true that there are more than 50% without souls? Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. I have noticed that every time we try to quantify or put some exact amount on something within the spiritual or non-physical realms, as soon as we try to create an absolute or give one finite solid answer to something that is essentially non-physical, what I have noticed is that spirit shows up and they will always give you an exception. Always, literally always an exception. You try to tell people this is always how it works. I guarantee it. Somebody will show up and you'll be like, well, there we go. There's the difference. And so who knows what the percentage is. I think that there are a number of individuals who are existing on the earth plane, who are born into physical bodies, who go through just a series of traumatizations or experiences, or in some cases they show up as somewhat of a hollow container. I know it's a very, very dicey and delicate thing to discuss with people, because for some people, it's a difficult thing to conceptualize, but there are a number of people on the earth plane who exist basically as containers, just kind of holders. And if you want to get technical, every human body is just a container or a holder. And so, who knows? Depends on how you want to look at that one. Thank you, Brooklyn Way. Sanskrit for discernment. Viveka. Cool. Yeah, the inflatable plane thing. I know it's a really fun one. Watch, I'm totally wrong. And there was a bunch of Afghans out on the runway with a, like a CIA camera crew, and they were like, like blowing up that plane for days, probably, right? Who knows? Maybe they did. Who knows? Maybe Get ready. Maybe it was a 3D printed plane. Anyway, sorry. Nobody here is going to get that joke. Sorry. Anyway, I love that video. Don't get me wrong. I love Michael Salla too. He's an incredible researcher. Thank you. Thank you. Hello, Samantha. Try the clay cure. Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, you guys are talking about heavy metal detox. I will mention a couple things. Oh, excuse me, as a cough on my live stream. A couple of things that have really, really helped me that we continue to take that will help people just rid heavy metals from the body. A lot of people will take diatomaceous earth. It's a really, really good substance for clearing your intestinal tract. Other people take zeolites. There's a number of forms of zeolites. You can take those as well. The best one I have ever taken, the most effective means of kind of clearing the intestinal tract for me has come from liquid bentonite. Liquid bentonite. So check it out if you can. Liquid bentonite. It's available on Amazon. You can get a bottle of it. It's like, I don't know, $20. You will take 2 tablespoons of it in a big glass of water. I take it at night. I will take it at night. And I actually add a little bit more than 2 tablespoons. You'll make it so it's kind of like, it's kind of this weird milky mixture, and you'll just drink it. And it over, I would say over about a 12-hour period, it works its way through the intestines, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, depends on your bowel transit time. But it will work its way through your intestines, and it very, very softly and effectively scrubs and also just clears the inside of those intestinal walls. It does it, I think, in a little bit of a different way than some of the other substances, although they are quite similar. It's not that there's this shocking difference between them, but liquid bentonite, very helpful. Chlorophyll, straight up liquid chlorophyll has been very helpful for me. That's not something that I always mention. For some people, they don't want to take this green, like goopy stuff in a glass of water. Liquid chlorophyll is very, very helpful for just bringing more oxygen within the system, as is fulvic acid, the liquid fulvic acid, Fulvic. Most of you guys have heard me talk about it before, but I think that's probably one of the best ones to take first and to continue to take, because it really does oxidize the heavy metal buildup that creates a ring around the outside of your head, which on a multidimensional level can lead you to being influenced by outside energies, outside entities, technology. It can even facilitate over an extended period of time, almost like this radio station effect within your body. In the old days, people would get metal fillings in their mouth. I don't know if they were lead or mercury, who knows what they were. I'm sure it wasn't good. But you could actually have the effect of the human body tuning into a radio. That is literally real. It's not fake. You guys can look it up. There's many different forms of it. And it's absolutely real. And so there is a strange type of conductivity that occurs around the sides of the brain with that heavy metal buildup. And so for those of you guys that are trying to open up your intuitive abilities, that is one of the most effective things you can do. But I also have to say it's something that you'll do for about 90 days at least. A lot of people will do they'll do a heavy metal detox, and, they'll do it for 2 weeks. And yes, that will start to clear stuff from the body. Yes, it'll create a change. Yes, you'll even have an emotional shift. Your mental body will shift. But it doesn't necessarily pull everything out. And so what I've noticed is that for those of you guys that really want to go for it, make it at least a 60-day process. Keep it up for, if you can, 90 days. You'll notice things will taper off. After I'd say about 2 months, you'll notice you get sort of like a taper off effect. And some of the things you're taking, like the body does get a little bit of a tolerance. But you'll also notice over that 60 to 90-day period that your emotions will change, your mental body will work differently. Believe it or not, for some of you guys, your peripheral vision will open up. That's a thing that happened for me on a big level, especially when you do experience changes in peripheral vision. That's one of the signs that the liver is becoming overloaded. It does not have to be overloaded physically with chemicals, although that's also a possibility. But the liver also gets overloaded with emotion. It gets overloaded with energy, all sorts of stuff. And so, yeah. Thank you for your comments as well. And let me know if you guys have any questions. Tesseract says, I've been drinking shungite water for years, and honestly, it helped me get rid of dome pay. I don't know what that word is, but it sounds cool. Very, very cool. It probably will. One thing we know shungite water will do is it will sort of magnetize to your earth star chakra and help the process of grounding. It will also help the energy body sort of, release kind of what we would call residual energy, just stuff that would leak out, kind of like groundwater. It's a very, very interesting thing. I actually use shungite in some of my clearings, you guys. Very few people know this, but sometimes when I'm in clearings, I'll just be holding this like shungite thing that I have here, just kind of holding it, like a little grounding rod. Yeah, shungite, incredibly helpful. Thank you, Gina DeSantis. She says, before bed is best time to do vitamins and things so the body gets to keep it in. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I will usually take bentonite at night. I usually take it before I go to bed. It's very, very helpful for just, honestly, I'll say it. It's really helpful, you guys. It's going to help you poop out all the stuff that's in your intestines, which is absolutely affecting your emotional well-being. Yes, it's affecting your memory. It's affecting so many things, especially when we're going through activation of our intuitive abilities, because you really need to clear your intestines in order for the solar plexus to kind of kick on. And the solar plexus is a thing that can be very easily deactivated or reactivated in the body. It's one of the most pliable and palatable chakras in the body. In fact, it's usually the one that most everybody feels. Everybody feels the solar plexus chakra, usually when you're a kid and you get this weird sick feeling in your stomach when something's going on. Everybody has that. We'll have that as adults as well. A lot of us get it through our whole life, but that's a really good example of when we're experiencing an emotional signal or just an energetic signal from the solar plexus. It's how you will know energy's moving through there. Sometimes it's how you'll know there's a blockage as well. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions. As you probably heard earlier, the primary focus of the next year of my life and just the work that we're doing in the School of Multidimensional Intuition is on training people to use your intuitive abilities, of which every single living person has many. Some people right now, you guys already have an idea of what they are. You've already experienced shades of telepathy. You've already experienced astral travel. You've already experienced an interfacing with consciousnesses outside of your body. Some of you guys have already begun to organically use light language. Others are beginning to just tune in with consciousnesses outside of here and starting to view other planes. Some of us are very natural remote viewers. We've been doing it our entire life. And honestly, a lot of us out there, just a huge amount of people on the earth plane are literally professional intuitive healers and psychics and spiritual warriors and mystical beings from lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And you came back into this physical body here on earth to remember that. You came here to remember it. But the problem is we do not live in a society in which there is any system, process, or really anything set up that fosters, grows, helps, develops, or activates those senses within the people. Now, yes, there are many individuals on the earth plane that do what I do. There's lots of things, lots of modalities that you can take part in. But for us right now, the number one mission going into this next stage of our journey here is getting everybody up to speed, helping people learn how to use those abilities, clearing the, just the density from your chakras, learning how the chakras work. What are the chakras? Learning about the meridians and what are the meridians? Learning about how they interact, learning about the places in the body where they connect, because there's a number of places within your physical and energetic body in which you have sort of like a nexus point or like a collection point where multiple systems gather together and connect. One of those is at the solar plexus in the center of your body. And that area is connected, yes, the solar plexus, energy from the meridians, of which there are several within that area. There is also the organically shifting and changing consciousness within your organs, within the intestines, within your spleen. And what we find is right in the center of the body. In fact, it's right underneath your sternum, you guys, like right here, if you press in your belly, right at the top there. And I think for a lot of people, it's a little bit over to your right, but there's one of the most common bridging points between the meridian body, the physical body, the emotional body, and also the lymphatic body. And that's actually through the lymphatic system, through this little area known as cisterna chyli. So this little bubble, maybe it's about that big, this little bubble of lymphatic fluid in your center. And so that's one of the places where it connects with the solar plexus chakra, with the meridians, a number of other things. Also, you guys have another really, really, really common one. If you're wondering what's a place where, a tremendous amount of energy moving in and out of my physical body connects with both the meridians, the chakras, the physical body. That's below your feet at this thing called the Earth Star Chakra. Right down there, you have a connection with your meridian body and your kidney meridian. It's actually the beginning of the kidney meridian. You have connections with actually a number of meridian points, but primarily the kidneys and the Earth Star Chakra joined together right at the bottoms of your feet. And that's one of your primary plug-in points for energy within the body. And so we're going to be talking about this stuff over the next 6 months. And so I see a really good question. BKF says, Matthew, sorry if you already covered this. Are you going to be training people in using Rife machines? You know, that has been a question that I have been asked by a couple of people. Oddly enough, I have to admit, I am open to doing so. However, people would have to have their own Rife machine. And honestly, the only Rife technology that I have used, and to be honest with you, the only one I would use at this point is made by Spooky 2. I'm going to put the link in the description. For anyone out there that's interested in buying a Rife machine or you want to learn more about them, like I said earlier, I do actually have an affiliate link with them, but let's see if I can grab their link. There it is. I'll put that in the chat. This is the technology that we use, both in training and also in treatment. And we do also have a treatment modality for it. It's called the 30-Day Spirit Detox Program. That's also available on the booking page, in which we do a 30-day detox just with Rife, and we do 4 sessions within that month as well. Although they're turning into a little bit more than a month, because it's very hard to do weekly meetings right now. But yeah, we use the Spooky 2 Rife machines. We use a Generator X, and I think we have 8 or 6 of the XM2 Rife generators. And so theoretically, it is something that I could train people to use, but I will also say the interface for the Rife technology is incredibly difficult to use. And for most people that turn it on, you're not going to know what to do with it. There's all kinds of numbers and things and stuff, and you're going to be like, whoa, how do I know it's working? That's one of the #1 issues that we see with people in the Rife Facebook group is they do not know if it's working. They don't know how to make it work. You almost have to have an engineering degree to operate the user interface, which honestly, you know, that's just kind of one of the gaps in sort of learning how to operate this stuff. But theoretically, yes, we could actually train people to do that. However, I also know that the Spooky company has their own trainers. It seems like they're pretty good about that. They actually train people to train others to use their devices. There was an opportunity for me to do that. I don't know. Maybe I will. If our community feels that it's appropriate, maybe I will. I do not know how I feel about sort of, you know, representing other people's stuff. I will talk about, you know, the stuff that we've used if it works. If it's something that has been beneficial to myself and our clients, we'll totally talk about it. But I'm always weird about, you know, schlepping other people's stuff, you know. Thank you, BKF. It can be a little bit daunting, and I think that's kind of one of the prices for admission when it comes to using certain types of what some people call suppressed technology or suppressed healing technology. Is that you know, some of the ones that really work, there really is a bit of a process toward the setting up and the, you know, the configuration of such. It does take a little bit of time, and so thank you. And yes, I saw some people asking about the filling thing. Yeah, I believe it was mercury primarily that facilitates that sort of frequency thing. But it's literally real. It's literally real. Jeremy Burr says, do you have anything to share around abundance generating? Actually, possibly, yes. That has been a big question for me in my life. I think that I came in with a lot of really difficult early childhood and, you know, family programming around the way money works, around receiving money, around what it means, around how we get it, around what we, you know, deserve, all of those sort of receiving factors. For me, most of my abundance issues came from what I was programmed with. Not to say right or wrong. I think everybody's parents, you know, do what they can. But for a lot of us, they sort of, you know, through some, you know, whether it be direct or indirect manner, we are programmed to have a very negative or sometimes a fearful or just a different idea around the nature of abundance or money. For me, it was something that was very difficult for literally my entire life. Honestly, sometimes it's kind of cheesy, everyone, but I did not have any success. I was never able to accumulate any form of abundance or success in my life until I formally launched myself as a professional intuitive. I have worked in many different careers, many different avenues, many different things. But for me, the sort of gateway out of the abundance issues that I had began when I began to, or ended when I began to, allow this whole different version of myself to come through and, just be this new version of me. Now, for some people, that's a really weak answer. And they're like, what? So you just, started being yourself and things changed? Sadly, for me, that was a little bit of how it went. But there's also a lot of behavior shifts, and there were certain energetic things that I had to work with. I think one of the things that I had done over the past couple of years that, get ready. This is a delicate one, because no one likes to admit certain things, but I'll just say it because I know other people have had this experience. When I started to distance myself from certain members of my family, that changed for me. When I started to separate myself from long-running emotional ideas, long-running relationships, and things that kept me in somewhat of a persona or a version of me. I noticed that almost 2 years ago now, I just started distancing myself from a lot of people. And what I noticed was that also abundance changed for me. Opportunities changed for me. Friendships changed for me. My emotional well-being changed. And I think, bringing it back to that idea of abundance, I think that, when we make concerted changes like that and try to start a new timeline, spirit will honor it. And what I noticed was that as I continued to operate in true authenticity, it was like people would show up and things would change. And yet at the same time, I've also worked with clients who have had a lot of issues with abundance, and they continue to have that. And I've worked with healers that, it's like they do incredible work, but no one hires them and no one chooses them to do certain things, which is a really big thing for a lot of us right now who are learning how to use our multidimensional healing abilities, is that, we are taught that it's shameful, or that we can't, or that we should never charge money for it, or that it's not proper, or that it shouldn't have a value. And those are the points, I think, which constructs or elements of energy from other timelines or other lives or sometimes other forces come in. I had one client in particular a few years ago that really brought that home for me. He was a guy that came into the shop that I used to work at in Los Angeles, a shop that shall forever remain nameless due to just their pure parasitic energy. Don't even get me started. Don't worry, I won't talk about it. But I did have one client in particular who I just remember this guy. He was a really smart guy. You could tell he came from a family that just he was from a Latin American country, incredibly intelligent, incredibly articulate, but you could tell that he had come from a socioeconomic background that was incredibly poverty stricken. You could just see it and you could feel it. And we talked about it. And he was like, I have this degree, I'm doing all these things now, and I just can't. Everything that happens to me is the same thing that happened to my dad and my mom. And we can't get jobs, and we can't get money, and we can't keep money. And as soon as we get money, something happens. And he's like, I'm not even on drugs. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know what's happening. And so, and this was like a 30-minute session that we did. And what I found upon sort of interfacing with his energy was the first time I had ever found such a thing. And it was that he had these sort of shackle-like things, like it was almost like a ball and chain that this guy was carrying behind him. Excuse me. Pardon me. And it was like he was pulling these sort of cuffs around his ankles. It was like, I just found it and felt it. It's like you can almost smell it. It was like this heavy feeling that this guy was pulling behind him. And upon feeling into it within the session and with this individual, and at that time I was doing a little bit of a different session process. There was a lot more talking, more interchanging, discussion within the session between me and the client. And what we found was that as we moved that energy down to his ankles, that we were able to break that off. And it wasn't like he had, this, oh my God, this thing came off me, but he had a really, really good emotional release in that session. And I also noticed he got really sweaty. It was one of the first times when I realized, wow, there is an absolute transference of chi energy that takes place between individuals when you do a certain thing. As evidenced by, emotional changes, body temperature shifts, thought form changes, visions that arise in the body, very, very strong sensations. In certain cases, people even have pain in the crown of the head or certain things like that. But what we found was that upon moving this energy through this guy's system, it was gone, and he felt some sort of a release. And it was a very positive moment. It was a good, very good session. He left really quickly. We had some tears, and it was like, wow, thank you. And sure enough, he did come back. He came back around Christmas. I think it was right before Christmas. He showed up around November. And I think it was because the guy lived in the neighborhood, and he had a girl with him. And I happened to just be in the place when I was in there. I don't think he even came in to talk to me, but I was looking at tarot cards in the corner, and he was all, hey, hey, hey. And it turned out after that, he did get a new job. He literally got a new job, and he did have a new apartment. And it was one of those things where he realized that it was like, after that session, I forgot about what it was we were even doing. It was like he just sort of, he had this thing, and he even mentioned he felt, as I'm spitting on myself here, he even mentioned he felt vulnerable. He was like, yeah, he just kind of like pushed it aside, which is a thing that I think males will do at times when you have a big emotional experience with another male, like depending on where you are in that, some people are like, okay, thanks, bro. And you just kind of like, and you sort of muscle through it. And he even acknowledged that he had that experience. And he was like, yeah, dude, I didn't even realize it. After that, I got a job. I did this, I did that. And here we are. I think it was like 5 months, maybe not 5 months, a couple months later. And for me, I did not even really discuss it with him at the time. I was like, oh, cool, sweet, bro, whatever. I think even in the conversation, I didn't even really acknowledge what it was he was saying. It was more of one of those like, oh yeah, sweet, all right, man, but looking back, what it was an example of when we are actually able to release an ancestral wavelength or a frequency of energy from the body. And so I think, for me, that was just one of the instances in which we find, for some of us, it's not about a behavior. For some of us, it's not about some thought form that we're caught in that keeps us, poor or stuck. For some of us, there are legitimate channels or weights or something. Yes, we can say it. Sometimes there is implantation within the energy body that can change how we interact with those things. And so, it had a big change for that guy. I was honored to be able to help him. In my own life, I wish it would have been that easy that, somebody could pop off some energy and it's like, boom, now you can do better. For me, it was at the cost of just demonstrating and developing true authenticity and learning how to put myself out there. Even though, and for other people that do live streams, you'll look at yourself on camera and be like, oh my God, that's really what I look like. Why do I talk that way? Why am I so embarrassing? But I found that as I continued to do that over and over and over again, whether it was on social media or just in whatever form I was doing it, people kept showing up. And so for me, I think that allowed me to break through some sort of internal blockage around just the acceptance of money or the acceptance of, financial well-being. And so, yeah, that's how it went for me. But I think everyone has a little bit of a different process toward opening those things up. And so anyway, thanks, you guys. I know that was kind of a long rant on abundance. Let me know if you have any other questions. I have seen a couple other people kind of scrolling through here. If you're asking questions or if you want more information about our training programs, you can go to our website. We do accept payments. I want to let everybody know we totally accept payments. There is a deposit that you will make in the beginning, but we discuss that individually with everyone. And so I'm going to post it again in there also, because I'm seeing some private messages pop up on another window about how that works. And so there's the link once again. I know some people have said, that event link is closed. Yeah, that might have been that might be an error that I made. But if you go to the link on that, if you go to the link in the chat there, that's the page where you can request booking for the 6-month program, or you can just join our 12-month one. You can also just email me and ask more questions. And so thanks, you guys. Let me know if y'all have any other questions. Thank you. Alternative Being says, I had to search for a holistic dentist. Absolutely. Absolutely. There are many dentists who will not use the metal fillings. They're using new stuff. I cannot remember the name. It might be the amalgam filling. I'm not sure what it is. For anyone who can't tell, I'm not dentally inclined. You can sort of see that in your own way. And so, yeah, luckily though, everything's operational. But yeah, I not to make it super weird, but I've been pulling the fillings out of my own teeth over the last few years, and I know somebody out there is going to be like, "What?" But yeah, yeah, that's a thing. It happens. If you have bad teeth, that will definitely happen. So, which is also why detoxing is very, very important. The first times I did the heavy metal detox, especially the Rife terrain detox that we do in the first 2 weeks of our training program. Ooh, Lord, the first time I did that, my God, you get these like brain shocks, especially if you're in the room with it. It was like I could literally feel the fillings in my jaw, like no joke, you guys. I could feel it shift, literally feel it shift. And so, which is honestly, I think, why for those that are capable of getting involved with Rife frequency therapy, it is a game changer with respect to using your energy, with respect to creating and facilitating mental clarity in the body, and also for just ridding yourself of inflammation. One of the really helpful things that it's been helping me with, which is why we really want to get a physical place. If you're one of the random people out there watching who happens to just be like, oh yeah, I have this, this huge house out here in this random state and I don't know what I'm doing with it. I would love to, allow you to use it for a treatment center, for a psychic development facility and a training program and a Rife treatment facility. If you're one of those people out there, get in touch with me. But one of the things that's really been helpful for me is the actual physical contact method of receiving Rife treatments. My wife, Nora, has received them as well. And we also have an actual scalar energy unit that we sleep in it every single night. It's actually not on now. It's usually on 24 hours a day. But the Rife treatment therapy for me has been a game changer in terms of a number of things. Number one, keeping the chakra and the lymphatic system clear and just vibrating on a level that allows us to use our energy properly. One of the things I noticed, it's very helpful for just mobilizing lymphatic fluid. I started doing Qigong while the Rife system was playing over the past few months, and I noticed things shifted really, really fast. I also noticed that hormonal balance within the body can be changed both positively and negatively using Rife treatments, especially for males. And I have been using it to assist with just the recreation of just hormone balance within the body. As many people know, especially for males, as you get 40, as you hit the age of 40 and a little bit before, and especially after, you start to lose testosterone and I can't think of the other chemical. Oh Lord, your hormonal balance starts to shift. And what we discovered was that Rife treatment is one of the most powerful things for resetting your endocrine system. What's the endocrine system? It's your glands in the system that creates and just works with your hormonal balance. Sorry, as I get very tongue-tied here. It's been an hour and 15 minutes. And so incredibly helpful. It will literally reset your endocrine system. I am living proof of it. It's incredibly powerful. And so what we're hoping to do in the coming year is have a physical treatment facility where people can travel over there and we can actually plug you into the machines and, experience what that energy is like. And somebody out there gets weird when they're like, what do you mean you're hooking people up to physical technology, Matthew? Isn't that kind of like, aren't you against, that? Don't you know, isn't that a bad thing? Because, there's a lot of ideas around the use or the integration of physical technology alongside non-physical or spiritual energetic practices. And actually, this is one of the most beneficial things you can do. No, it does not mean go plugging yourself into a bunch of healing devices, but what it does mean is that you can receive a much more pure signal upon physically connecting with the Rife generators. How do we physically connect with Rife, though? They use TENS pads, those little sticky pads that they'll use in medical facilities. And so you'll actually stick them on your body. You'll put one on your wrist. You'll put one on your ankle. And you can just lay there and receive a treatment. Another thing we do is a contact method where you'll hold 2 metal rods. That's another way that it enters your body. And then there's the remote version, which we use in our training programs. And so, yeah, anyway, thank you as I continue to rant upon Rife technology. But it has been an absolute game changer. What I've noticed over the past few months of using it in nearly every single session that I've been in is that I believe after, staying within the field, it attunes the physical body so that you can actually send and receive those frequencies on a much greater level. And so Cassandra Fleski says, are you looking for the work estrogen and testosterone? Meaning, does it work for both of them? Yes, it does. Absolutely. It is absolutely possible to reset or to change the hormonal balance within your body using Rife technology. It's a literal truth. Now, you can also do it in a chaotic way. It does not mean that it's, one of those things where, it is not without certain types of side effects. Anytime you start working with hormonal stuff in the body, you can experience physical changes, you can experience mood changes. And it is possible to put yourself in a little bit of a healing, a healing reaction using Rife, especially when you do parasite cleanses. You can develop what's called the Herxheimer effect. And that's where, just everything kind of kicks up. You shake the snow globe up a lot when you get a little inflamed. Some people get emotional. Some people get a little bit, you'll start feeling a little bit sick if you have some pathogens in your body or certain things that are ready to kick off. Sometimes it can sort of push them over the edge. It's definitely a thing. And so, yeah, thank you, Jeremy. I was just kind of making a soft joke. There was a live that I did a while back where somebody was like, how could you plug somebody into a Rife machine? Why would you use that? Isn't that an AI frequency? And there's nothing artificially intelligent about it. Absolutely not. It's a frequency that has the ability to penetrate and move through layers of physical and non-physical matter on shocking levels. But there's nothing artificially intelligent about it, and it does not hook us up to any sort of etheric network. Nothing like that. But I say that more in a joking way, really, than anything. So thank you, Conrad. What equipment exactly would I need to start from Spooky 2? You need a PC computer, or you need a Mac computer that is running. There's a number of programs you can use to run PC programs on your Mac. You do need a PC computer. You can even have a really old, just an old laptop can usually run it. And then you just need to purchase the Rife generator package from Spooky 2. And there's a bunch of videos and stuff that can help you get started. So it is absolutely possible. And to be honest with you, I think you can get the Generator X, which is the dual Rife treatment unit from them. I think it's about $700, which for some people is a lot. For some people it's not. It depends on where you are on the economic spectrum. For other people, it can be very hard to get a hold of. That's why they do have another model. It's called the XM2. It only emits one frequency, I think, at a time, technically, or maybe two. But I believe those are about $200 and something. You can get a whole package with like the TENS pads and the remote and everything for a few $100s, which for some people I know is a lot of money. For other people, it's nothing. It kind of depends on where you're at, But it's actually, I think they're the least expensive of all of the Rife companies out there. And so maybe I should post that affiliate link they gave me, you guys, in case you actually want to buy one. To be honest with you, I don't know if it gives you a discount or if it's just one of those things where they can see who purchased it. And so, yeah, you guys can put it in the chat if you want it. Maybe I will post the affiliate link. But yes, absolutely. And so guess what? We are going to roll out of here in a little bit, but I want to leave it open for any other questions. For those of you guys that are still hanging out with us, the whole object of this is to tell you about a couple cool things we have coming up. I will recap them quickly. Some of you guys will get annoyed. You'll be like, you already talked about it for an hour. But coming up this Saturday, the 21st, in our Patreon group called Blue Flame Collective, we're going to be having a really cool channeler, Ivan Teller. We did an event with Ivan Teller called Starseed Adventures in February, and I'm honored that he's going to be there. And so we're doing that Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific. You can scroll through the links on this live chat here and find it. That's patreon.com/blueflamecollective. And you can also, for those of you guys that are ready to step into the next stage of actual, real, multidimensional intuitive training, yes, it's real. Absolutely. You can join us at my website, rememberyourmission.com. There's also a couple links in the description. And we're starting the next 6-month training program coming up October 1st. We got 8 out of 20 individuals on board, so we're already nearly halfway there. And I think we're doing about a maximum of 20 this time. It's about all we can handle. And so But we have another one. We have a yearly program as well. We're accepting 10 individuals in as well. It's a little bit different, but all the information right now, you guys, is on our website, rememberyourmission.com. You can check it out. And yes, I will. I will post that spooky link, the spooky affiliate link. I will honestly, I'll have to weed through my emails and find it. But I will definitely post it on YouTube in the coming days for you guys, maybe sooner than later. And yeah, hopefully some of you guys will get a hold of them. And if you do, let me know. Let me know how it works. One of the people in our training program, I think, has a couple of them now, and he's using them with his clients in an incredible way. I think he even already had incredible, shocking results from the remote thing. In fact, I'm going to put his website in the chat, you guys. I'm going to put his website. His name is Adam Hall, and Adam Hall has been a really big part of our multidimensional training program. Let me make sure I got his website here. I think Brooklyn Case is in the chat. She probably has his website. Here it is. Sorry guys, I'm actually looking at another screen. It's always awkward when I do that on a live stream. But I'm just going to put Adam's website in there. Adam's been a really big part of our training program as well. And he also uses, I think he uses Healy technology as well in his clearings and his energy work. And so that's a direct example of people that have been training and working with us. Adam and a lot of other people, they came in already ready to go. And so we just kind of give people this place in which they can practice and develop and sort of work on the stuff that they're bringing forward into the community in much more of a safe, contained, judgment-free environment. That's probably one of the things I should mention before we go, especially if you're one of the people on this live stream and you're like, I think I might want to join this guy's program. Who knows? Maybe it's for me. One of the biggest things is that you have to be willing to start working on other people. You also have to be willing to partner up with people in the class. Don't worry, we'll assign you. We'll give you people to work with. In fact, by the time it's over, you will probably have worked with everyone in our entire group. But we do ask people to, be willing to start doing energy work, to start developing some method of themselves, a willingness to put themselves out there. For some people, it's as simple as creating a YouTube channel. We have people in our training group right now who are literally configured to be that person on YouTube or on social media talking about and speaking and disseminating information. And so not everyone's ready to make that leap though. And so what we're doing is trying to give people a place where you can show up and you can work on it. You can do private sessions. You can receive energy. You can get Rife treatments. You can come to these weird, bizarre classes. And no, it's not the be all end all of psychic training. It's just one of many. But if there's one thing we do know at this stage, I will say it. I know it's always weird. I will say it. If there's one thing we do know now, it works. And so it has been a fun ride. And so we're probably going to get out of here in a few minutes, you guys. Let me know if you have any questions before we roll. I actually have a session coming up in a few minutes here. And so we are going to roll out. But in the meantime, check us out online. Please do subscribe. If you're one of the random people that's been hanging out on this live stream, thank you. Thank you for receiving the frequency and for rolling in here and hanging out with us. Please do subscribe. If you're into the content that we're creating, if you want to support us, join us on Patreon. Join our training groups if you want to be a part of it. But yeah, I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I will probably roll out. We're going to be doing some sessions, and we'll be back in the coming days. The very last thing, once again, you guys, open up a window and check out campdisclosure.com. Myself and a whole amazing group of individuals are going to be there next weekend in Helen, Georgia, doing a bunch of truly, truly amazing things with our collective. I hope you check it out. I'd love to see you guys on the live stream for Camp Disclosure. And at any rate, we'll probably see some of you guys on Saturday. So I love you all. Stay out of trouble. Thank you for being a part of this strange multidimensional soul group. Thank you for using your discernment. Thank you for not buckling under the worldview of the many, distorted, disseminators of disinformation within our community. We're at a stage in which literally every single person here is able to, really understand the frequency of truth. And I think we are called to look at things on a much, much deeper level. And so if you're one of those people that's starting to see the cracks in the armor, if you realize the emperor never had any clothes and they weren't telling you the full story in the beginning, well, there's a lot of work we can do to make that sense even stronger for you, and you'll start experiencing stuff in an entirely new way. And so I'm honored to be a part of that. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the future. Stay out of trouble.